All right, so in this lecture, I'm now going to show you how to actually have SkuGrid automatically manage your stock levels for you, right? So not only will they monitor the stock levels on the websites that you input, but they'll actually change your stock levels to what you set in Amazon. So you don't have to do this manually anymore if you don't want to, okay? So what you want to do is you'll see I actually already have this in there, but what you want to do is you want to connect a new marketplace, okay? And so what you're going to do here is you're going to choose the platform and you're going to click Amazon. You're also going to click where it actually is, obviously. For the majority of you, that's going to be the US. For me, that's the US, right? And then you're going to click save, all right? Now, this is just an actual, test template. I did it for the UK because I already connected, to my Amazon seller account in the US. So for an example, I'm going to show you the UK one, even though I obviously can't connect to that, right? So if you're in the US, yours is going to say Amazon, US, right? If you're in the UK, it's going to say Amazon UK, et cetera, okay? And so what you want to do then is you want to go ahead and you want to connect it. Well, you connect your Amazon seller account and you're going to get it to connect via the API. It'll walk you through the entire thing. It's just like any of the other softwares. All you need to do is you need to go into the back end of your Seller Central. It'll show you how to do that. You put in their API key and then bam, it basically grants access for SkuGrid to access your Amazon seller account and change your inventory levels, okay? So the next thing that you want to do is you want to come down and you want to go down and you want to click show extra marketplace settings, all right? And so you want to set your default quantity. What basically that means is every single time it changes your stock levels from out of stock to in stock, what do you want that quantity to be? Now, I always usually go 15 to 20 here. So you can put 15, you can put 20. I think that that's a good kind of barometer to set it at because it's constantly going to be resetting it back to that. Although, if you do have items that, are constantly moving very, very quickly, you might want to set it, a lot higher than that. I would recommend, and this is just a recommendation, don't go too much higher than 15 to 20. The reason I set it to 15 to 20 is because I can always manually set it higher if I decide to, if I start to see a product selling very, very quickly, right? And one of the worst things that can happen is, let's say hypothetically you have a product that's moving in and out of stock very, very quickly, right? Like very, very frequently, for example. For example, I used to sell cat food. And the cat food would go in and out of stock all the time. And so what would happen is every once in a while, I would wake up to like 20 cat food orders and then it would be out of stock on the website. And I'd be out, like I would literally have to make 20 cat orders for an out of stock item. And that's a headache. You don't want to be trying to track down products on other websites. It adds more variables, it adds more headaches, and it's the last thing that you want to do. So what I would say is limit this to about 15 to 20. You can always add more, but you don't want to get caught up in, on times where it's changing your stock levels automatically when you're like sleeping or something like that, and then a product potentially goes out of stock. It's not going to happen frequently. It's only random specific products, but this is just a recommendation. I suggest you follow it until you get more and more comfortable, and then you can change it in the future, all right? So default quantity, make it 15 to 20. If you really want to go higher than that, you can, but I don't recommend that you do, okay? Now, I don't focus on any of these things right here. The only thing that I did put is you want to make sure that your auto update stock is on. So yes, again, we're not focused on any of the repricing. We're not having SkuGrid reprice our things. I told you, and showed you how to set up the repricing via Amazon. It works totally fine. You do not need a repricer. Amazon works fine, okay? So we're simply just using SkuGrid to monitor our stock levels and change our stock, okay? So make sure, again, default quantity, have that set to 15 to 20. Usually 15 or 20 works well. Auto update stock, you want yes, right? Only put items out of stock. Don't put them back in stock. You want that disabled, right? Because what you can do is you can go back and manually change that, and I'll show you how to do that in a second for specific products, right? You always want to put your products back in stock and have SkuGrid put your items back in stock when they come back in stock on the website. So make sure that this is disabled. Auto update the price. Doesn't really matter what you have here. I always click no because I don't have them update the price. But again, you're not going to be feeding this back into it, and you're not going to have any information on price in there, so it really doesn't matter. But just as a safety precaution, make sure that that's a no, okay? So I don't think there was anything else that you really need to do here. Let me just make sure. Default handling time. So you can also change your default handling time if you want. I always put this at least. I usually change it specifically, on each product, but I usually use usually at least put this to 4 days. It really isn't going to affect your sales too much. Obviously, if you're going up against another seller that has similar metrics than you, and has, you know, a similar price than you and everything, like all things equal, and your handling time is more than them, then they're going to get the buy box more frequently, but you still will get the buy box, right? The reason you want to do this is because one of the things that can happen when you start scaling up a dropshipping store very quickly is your late shipment rate can go through the roof very fast, okay? And so you want to set this as high as potentially possible. I wouldn't go 2 or 3 days, even that's low. Yeah, sure. Most websites will ship them out within 2 to 3 days, obviously, but some of the websites and some of the obscure suppliers that you might be using might not ship them out that fast. And you don't want to get hit with a bunch of orders in a row, because all you need to go over your late shipment rate is, I believe, 4 or 5% or something like that. I think it's 4% to go over your late shipment rate. So let's say you have 100 orders and 96 of them ship out perfectly within like 10 minutes, right? Even that fast. But then 4 of your orders don't, well, then you're over your late shipment rate, right? So always have this default a little bit higher. Yes, you might sacrifice a sale or two here and there. It's worth it, I promise you, all right? And then you can also have only put the items in stock, don't put them out of stock. You want that disabled as well. Then save your settings, all right? And that's basically how you set up SkuGrid and have it connect into the back end of your Seller Central. Now, assuming that it is hooked up to the back end of your Seller Central, the next thing that you want to do is you either want to enable SkuGrid when you're adding products, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second, or if you already have products that are enabled, what you want to do is you want to come in and you want to edit those products, okay? And then you want to click this down. There should be a little thing here that's like more information. And if you click that down, you'll see all this stuff right here, unless it's already up for you. They change it, you know, when they update the software here and there. But usually there's like a button if you only have this top section that's like add more information, right? Or I have this listed already. You might want to click that, right? And then it'll come down with this information, right? And so you'll see the selling marketplace is what you literally just hooked up before, right? Obviously, this was the test one that I just showed you, but mine actually is Amazon USA. So make sure you have the marketplace selected there. Then obviously you want to input the ASIN, okay? And click, I have this item listed, input the ASIN, input the SKU right here, and then you can update the item, okay? So there's 3 things that you need, that SkuGrid needs, so that it basically updates your stock levels for you, okay? It needs the marketplace, which you just set up, right? Once it's obviously set up, then you'll have this in your drop-down menu on each product. You input the ASIN again, so it can identify that product via the ASIN, and you also input the SKU for that product, so it can identify that product on the SKU. And obviously, you can find this on the actual product listing. You can also find this in the back end of your Seller Central, in your inventory, or on the specific product. It's easy to find. Make sure you have those 3, okay? Then update the item, and then you should see, if we go back, you should see that item obviously is updating then, right? And so that's basically how you do it. The other way that you can do it is when you add the single item, you'll see that before I showed you just how to do it when you do it manually. You want to, input your reference ID, which usually is like the way that I set it up, at least, is the website dash the ASIN, so I know and I can reference it later if I want to search things or something like that. And then obviously the supplier link. What you can do when you're adding products is, if you want to obviously do the same thing with a reference ID, same thing with a supplier link, that doesn't change. You need those. But then you want to click more options. Obviously, you've input this right here, all right, the reference ID, the supplier link, and then you want to click, I have this item listed, okay? And that's going to bring down the drop-down menu down here, okay? And you can do this when you're adding new products as well. So instead of saying, do not update my item, you want to come down to the selling marketplace that you obviously just hooked up your SkuGrid to, right? When I showed you how to do it in the settings and hook it up to your API by putting in the key. So same thing right here. Just click on the drop-down menu, input your ASIN down here, input the SKU down here, and then right here, you want to make sure that pause is not on, okay? That's how you're going to pause specific products if you want it to stop monitoring your products. I will show you that here in a second, all right? And then you're going to update the item, right? So again, you want to input the website, you want to input the ASIN, you want to input the supplier's link so it knows what URL to actually monitor, right? And then you also want to input the right here where it says the selling marketplace, make sure you have your marketplace selected, and input the ASIN as well as the SKU, update the item, all right? Now, last thing in this lecture is, let's say hypothetically, to go back to the same example as before, right? One of the examples that I used was I used to sell cat food, and that cat food would go in and out of stock. Well, once you notice and you identify a problem product like that, because you don't want to be dealing with products like that, right? And this obviously was a product that would go in and out of stock frequently during the holidays, which you'll start to notice during the holidays happens a lot because stores are struggling to keep products in stock. But if you happen to notice this outside the holidays as well, like you want to avoid that product and you want to have SkuGrid stop monitoring that product at least until it comes back in stock, on a more consistent basis, right? Because you don't want to constantly be playing games with that, trying to figure out where else to order it from or waiting on ordering a product. You want it to be in stock when you get the orders, obviously, even if that's overnight, right? Because SkuGrid is going to be monitoring it all the time. So let's say hypothetically, this was that product, or you identified a product that was constantly going in and out of stock, and you're like, okay, I don't want to turn SkuGrid off, obviously, on all my products because it's helping and it's getting me sales and it's monitoring my stock levels and saving me a lot of time. But I do want to turn off a specific product, okay? So then what you want to do is you want to either search by using like Control F if you're on PC. If you're on Mac, you just want to search the screen in a certain way. You can also come over to the search bar and search that way. What I like to do is I'll search the ASIN because I obviously sort everything like I showed you how to do with the website - the ASIN. So it makes it really, really easy. That's why I do it, to search the ASIN. If not, you could also obviously search the SKU. You could search the item title as well. But once you find that item, obviously, on SkuGrid, what you want to do is you want to come over to Edit. And then you're going to, if you obviously have everything monitoring already, you just simply want to scroll down to where you see pause. Okay. You see this pause right here. Over here, this item is not paused right now. But if I wanted to pause it, and I wanted to pause it from checking the website for me and updating the inventory specifically on this product, I would click pause checks and updates, and then I would update the item. And then you'll notice when you go back, obviously I don't want to do that right now, but you'll notice that when you go back, it'll start to say, there'll be a little note over here that says this item is paused. It's not being checked, okay? And if you ever want to come back in and unpause that item because maybe the item is in stock on that website more consistently, then you just do the same exact thing, right? You come back into edit on that product once you find it. You scroll down, obviously this pause right here will have it look like this because you've already set it up. And then if you want to turn it off, you just click no, and then you re-update it, okay? So that it's not paused, all right? And that's basically everything that you need to know. That's how to have SkuGrid monitor your stock levels and change your stock levels on Amazon automatically. This is a game changer. It's going to save you so much time, and the software will do 100% of the work for you.